In Hollywood, sometimes it does not come down to what you can do, but rather what categories you can fill. Yes, the intersectionality deck of cards has become the triumph of those who want to get ahead in Hollywood. However, when the box office results don't come in, the corporations come calling. All right, folks, welcome back to another beautiful day out there in this world. We hope that you are nudging it in a positive direction. Here on the WDW Pro channel, we endeavor each and every day to do just that by explaining entertainment and keeping you ahead of the culture curve. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. On the Pro Show, we were having a discussion about the situation regarding DEI and the Lando writer, who happens to also be the person behind the Haunted Mansion, well, has been let go from Disney, and he is none too happy. We sat down with Daily Wire writer Christian Toto to talk all about the situation and how this is perhaps a bit of comeuppance for Hollywood as they now suffer under the same rules and virtues that they decided would be good for all the rest of us. Now, it's more difficult than ever to let someone go, because if you do, they will play every card they have to tell you just how awful you are for oppressing them, even as you vowed otherwise. Here's the conversation we had right now. Black, gay, Haunted Mansion director attacks Disney, exits the gig. Let's read it, and then we'll see if we can get onto our bat phone and get a hold of somebody who might be able to explain what this thing's about. Justin Simien broke out in a big way with his 2014 indie hit, Dear White People, a racially conscious satire. What's that, Paul?
I don't know. That was quite the hit.
Maybe a whiff.
Noise for sure.
It's an indie hit, which means it was just
a noisy whiff. The racially conscious satire earned him a spot at the Hollywood table, and he leveraged its fame for both the TV version of the film as well as the horror comedy Bad Hair. That's apparently a documentary about Weird Al's Bad Hair Day album from 1990.
It's actually a movie about a possessed weave.
That's worse. Congratulations. Yes. Simeon's success caught the ear of the Mouse House, and that's where things get ... interesting. Disney announced in 2020 Simeon would take the creative lead on a Lando TV series for Disney Plus because, well, Solo: A Star Wars Story was just so successful. Donald Glover, who played Lando Calrissian in the disappointing 2018 film Solo: A Star Wars Story, would portray the iconic character once more. And then, nothing. No news on the show, whether it's been delayed, canceled, or something in between. And so the article goes on to talk about how Simeon was brought on board for the Haunted Mansion. By the way, the Haunted Mansion has had a lot of interesting things going on with it. Not only has it not been able to have a traditional red carpet and use Disneyland characters to come out there and promote it, but then also the box office has not responded kindly to Haunted Mansion. And then there's this other thing going on where some people inside the fandom of Disney and some of our viewers say that the Haunted Mansion is not woke, and perhaps that's enough for it to not go broke. We'll see. But here's what Simeon said about the uncertainty tied to the series as he was out there hawking the Haunted Mansion. I'm attached, I think, but I don't really know. The last thing I was told was that they loved it but needed to put a pin in it until they could figure out everybody's availability. I haven't investigated further, but I'm not an idiot. I'm not alone in that experience, but I can't help but wonder, am I too black? Am I too queer? And
I ask myself
people just
the
don't
same
want to
thing
say that.
every day.
That's what I thought, Jonas. Thanks. I wondered about that because it seems like I develop things with these companies and they just never happen for reasons unknown. All right, so let's go to the actual author of this article. And folks, if you want to read this, we encourage you to do so. So go check this out. And the link is in the description down below. Go check it out on Outkick. But let's go to the author himself. And Mr. Toto, explain to us what happened past this point. You say that the director, this Mr. Simeon, that he's not too happy with the Mouse House. Why?
Well, I mean, he explains it there, but what's so interesting is that, you know, he's not 20 years old. I think he's about 40 or so. He's been in the business for at least a decade, probably more. Doesn't he realize how the business works? That it's in fits and starts, that some projects just stall, that some go, you know, at light speed toward their release dates, and others just stumble along the way, and that Disney's really struggling right now. Doesn't he understand any of that? Instead, he plays the I'm black and I'm queer cards, I guess you could say, and not realizing that they hired him and he was black and he was queer and nothing has changed. So why would his status suddenly make them say, oh my gosh, we can't have him attached to this show featuring a black actor? That would be crazy. Let's hire the black actor to co-write the show with his brother, who I think is also black. I mean, it's such a perfect microcosm of Hollywood. You're playing the victim card. You're playing identity politics, and it may have cost them a gig. Who knows? But also, I think you're trying to be the victim because you'll get other gigs. But then you've got to think that the powers that be in any other studio are thinking, oh gosh, this guy's a headache and a half. He doesn't have a legitimate gripe. He's just playing the victim. And do we really want that? So as much as the different studios want to hire more people of color and want to hire people who may be gay, would you hire this guy? He's going to stab you in the back in a heartbeat. And I think the ultimate question is it possible that they saw this interview and immediately fired him and changed direction? I don't think so. I think that's too conspiratorial. But certainly his attitude wasn't exactly let's win room for the Gipper. And he's gone from the project. And, maybe it'll never get off the ground. But boy, I just can't imagine being in any position of power and thinking, I want to hire this guy. He seems like a real problem-free personality.
Well, I know that it's unheard of. And I know that Disney isn't supposed to be doing this. But I have this sinking suspicion that for a brief moment in time when they let him go, that suddenly the idea of merit came into their minds. Because I've seen The Haunted Mansion. Now, some people have strongly disagreed with me on this, but I stand by it. I think The Haunted Mansion is the worst film that I have seen in the last 3 years.
Oof.
I think it is up there with Rainbow Bride and the Star Stealer. I think it is up there with Garbage Pail Kids. I despise this Haunted Mansion movie. And for those of you out there, and we're going to spoil it because you can't spoil what's rotten already, but for those of you who have seen the film and still like it, let me just say, if the main character is in great grief because his wife died choking on a tater tot, and the finish to the film is that a cat shows up with a tater tot name on its collar, and that's supposed to be the poignant point that lets you cry on your way out, give me a break. The best thing about this movie is air conditioning and popcorn. So, guys, do you think that maybe the execs at Disney looked at this movie and said, dear God, we cannot let this man touch Lando. Lucasfilm is too great at what they do.
Oh my, I'd say after Indiana Jones 5, the quality coming out of Lucasfilm, I'm not quite sure that they would look at him and say he's not an improvement.
Yeah, I think quality control is not exactly top of mind at Disney Inc. right now. That's just me.
No, the diversity mantra is what's top of mind. I mean, just like Mr. Simeon here, I wake up every morning thinking, am I too white? Am I too straight? Am I too much of a pre-op lesbian tranny dwarf? I don't know, but these are the questions that I struggle with on a daily basis and how it affects my job performance for my clients and my fans on YouTube. No, I mean, all this is just, it's kind of silly, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier, Mr. Toto. I mean, he's there. They knew what they had going in. I think they look at this from a perspective of, he's out there, he's making noise, he's got a movie that's come out. Obviously, this thing with Lando, at the stage that it was in a development phase. Nothing had really been greenlit yet because there was no finalized script, or at least none that they had greenlit, so it's time to get a new writer now while they can, basically just cut bait and take off. I mean, that's it. They'll get somebody else new in there now that maybe can produce a solid script that they will greenlight. They obviously still want the show to go forward. And for the record, I am hoping that the name of the production entity for the Lando show will be Cult 45 Limited UK.
That would be amazing.
Well, Disney is being known now, I guess, as the purveyors of excellence. We've got the Snow White and the Dirty Hippies coming out, of course. And, this Solo, a Star Wars movie, that was really successful. So I'm glad that they're making a Disney Plus show about this. Now, Matt, do you think that Lando in this new series will continue to be attracted to robots like Bender, perhaps, and or do you think they go back and say, you know what, those nuts and bolts didn't work for us so well in the movies?
Well, I kind of doubt that they're going to continue with the pansexual thing simply because Donald Glover is in charge of writing the show this time around. But I kind of have an interesting take on the story.
By the way, Matt, I hesitated to say pansexual because when you're dealing with Disney, that it's an entirely different connotation given their characters. But go ahead.
So the way I look at this, first of all, we at the Salty Nerd Podcast have actually reviewed Bad Hair. We did it with an inanimate object episode where we also reviewed Killer Sofa, about a killer sofa, and Slacks, about a killer pair of jeans. So if you want to check out that episode, it's available.
How did you manage to segue from jokes about pans and kitchen appliances in a innuendo kind of way to more inanimate objects? That's amazing.
Well,
you did that.
That's why I get paid the big bucks, Dubs, you know? So, but what's interesting about the story to me is that, so first of all, this director, he knows how the development game is played, right? Like he knows that you put out 1,000 different projects and maybe one of them gets greenlit and, you know, all that good stuff. So I think that a lot of this is what he's doing is called fishering. This is a brand new term. It comes from Ray Fisher, where basically, you know, the guy who played Cyborg in the Justice League, where you take your intersectionality, your race, your gender, your sexuality, like whatever, and you use it to bully the money men into giving you more work. And I think that the writing was on the wall that the Haunted Mansion was going to vastly underperform. And the director knows this. And so he's using his...
Tell us why, though. Why did the Haunted Mansion underperform to the degree that it has?
Well, the funny thing about this in particular, this situation in particular, is that because of the actors' strike and actors not being able to do any publicity, what Disney's been doing is they've been taking the directors of these projects and forcing them to go out to do publicity for these films. And so because Disney doesn't have any like big names to go out and promote this movie, and it's also weirdly like PG-13 movie instead of PG, so it's like, you know, not as big of a family film. And it also got switched with the Marvels. Originally, the Marvels with Captain Marvel and all that stuff was supposed to come out in this window, but they had to swap it with, you know, the release window for this movie. And so the marketing for this movie hadn't even really begun to ramp up by the time it came out. And so it was just vastly undermarketed. And so everyone was kind of expecting it to underperform. And the director is basically fishering Disney to try to bully them into not blacklisting him from ever doing anything in the town again, by saying that, you know, I'm gay, I'm black. Therefore, if you fire me, you're racist and homophobes.
So don't treat me as you would a straight white male, perhaps.
Yeah, and this isn't, like I said, this isn't unprecedented in Hollywood. A lot of people use their victimhood status to try to protect themselves, to keep them from getting fired or keep them from losing work. When it comes to the Haunted Mansion, I think it was pretty clear that this movie was going to vastly underperform. And that's the reason that he got kicked off of Lando, because Disney doesn't want to continue doing business with someone who turns in substandard fare. And he wanted to protect himself so that he can continue to work in that town again. And I think it was pretty clear that Disney was kind of shrewd, or at least someone at Lucasfilm was shrewd enough to know that if you're going to replace a gay black man, you have to replace him with someone who's either gay or black. And so, like, you know, they announced that Donald Glover and his brother, so two black men, which kind of negates the gay and black, were coming on to take over the Lando show. And therefore, you know, they can't be, you know, called racist or anything like that for replacing a gay black man as the showrunner of this TV show. So there was some interesting kind of like inside baseball stuff going on with this situation. But I just read, you know, his take on like saying like, is it because I'm gay? Is it because I'm black or whatever, as his way of trying to insulate himself from being blacklisted in town for just, you know, not being able to get anything off the ground. And when you do get something off the ground, it flops very hard.
You know, I'll add to that a little bit. Jamie Lee Curtis and Owen Wilson, they had just started doing some level of promotion for the film. There were some shots of them and a video of them in Haunted Mansion cast member costumes. And then of course the SAG-AFTRA strike happened, and then nobody that is an actor in the film is going to do promotion for it, especially not for Disney. I mean,
right.
And then, of course, we have the whole thing with them sending literal cast members, as in Disney employees, cast members, in Cruella de Vil costumes and all that kind of stuff to try to be cute going down the red carpet. And then you have Justin Simien fiddling with this cape that someone involved in the production had made for him, and he said, "Well, I had to show up so I could show off this fabulous cape." Like, no one would say you're too gay.
And by the way, the Disney marketing team spread that rumor that Danny DeVito would be topless in the film, and I don't think that helped at all. So,
all right, folks, that's a wrap on the conversation on The Pro Show. Don't forget that if you enjoy dialogue such as this, we do The Pro Show live every Thursday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a ton of fun. We have the best guests in the world, and we will fight you over that one. And folks, we hope you'll join us for The Pro Show Live. If you would like the archives where we have all of The Pro Show episodes available in their entirety, we'll consider becoming a member of the channel. For just the price of a soda per month, you can be a part of the Pro Channel, and you can be a part of exclusive content as well as those archives. Folks, drop a comment down below. We care about what you think. We covet your comments. We do read them. We do respond. Wherever you are on this great, big, beautiful world, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.